It's not men wanting to oppress women. It's just men that want to work and provide for their family.
Then why couldn't women vote?
Because men were subject to military conscription.
All right, screw your response. That's an excellent question. Why couldn't, if men aren't trying to control, or at least not men, the men in positions of power and control, right? Not the oppressed, like the poor people. I mean, hell, you could look at individual family units that this attitude reverberates. But like, that's a great. If they're not trying to be oppressed, then why weren't women allowed to vote? Why did slaves exist? Why couldn't the slaves vote? Why did their vote only count like 3/5? Explain that. Oh, what's your explanation? The military? So the military. Because men get drafted. That's why you can't vote. I love how he just... This is why. You smell that? That's why. You can just make up anything in life. It's crazy. Nothing matters, dude. There's no God. You can do whatever the hell you want. Words just are sounds we make with our faces. And the words, the meaning that you apply to them, it's all abstract. You can do whatever the hell you want. And they're doing at whatever they want. Oh yes, Amazon. Known for their touch screen technology as their industrial revolution that they've started, sparked, has inspired all the other people to make their own tablets. As you can see. What the They put an ad on your home screen, unless, I imagine you could change it manually, but really that's the default. Okay, Beezus. Jesus, Beezus. We get it, you like money. Hey, at least it saves, like, my history. I think it was about, like, 9.5 minutes in or something. Will it save that?
Show the big spat that you had with John.
John? Oh, dude, I remember the big spat she had with John. I remember that. Alright, let's scrub all the way to the patriarchy theory. It's a very common word used in these circles, in these groups. Pretty cool buzzword. I don't know. I mean, not to say it's an invalid word, right? To say the patriarchy doesn't exist would kind of be akin to saying that, supremacy, right? Racial and class supremacy doesn't exist, which are also, bullet point values that a lot of people who show up on this has. I scrubbed, and then it brought me back to the beginning. I scrubbed all the way to the patriarchy theory at 9:30, and then it just brought me back to the beginning.
A brotherhood.
So not only is your Kindle inferior, Beezus, but like it also, I mean, that's it. Not only is it inferior. I mean, what else? It sucks. I mean, that's what that means, right? Okay. See if we can get back to the point where we were.
Because men were subject to military conscription.
I think I acknowledged this argument before, which that was a good question on her part. If they're not trying to oppress you, why are they controlling your autonomy in life? Because men have to go and fight in wars without their own choice. So we're oppressing everyone. Men have to do this, and women aren't allowed to do that because they have to do other stuff because they're women. Oppression. What else do you call that? Roles. It's out of survival. We have to survive. We have to work as a team in the modern civilized society where everyone can be an individual and contribute in their own way to society. But ignore all that. Let's just pretend so we can tell ourselves these cool things, right? Hardworking men that are just looking out for everyone, that are trying to keep everyone safe and protect and provide for their families. Oh, it sounds so good. Oh, I love that. Oh, yes. Dude, it feels so good to be a human. Dude, I'm just doing what I think I'm supposed to do, and it's right. It's just right,
Because women didn't want to vote either at some point, because if they...
Shut up. I know you're a god, you were placed here. But also, that's on women. They didn't want to vote because I can just say this general statement and apply it to every single person that falls within this specific demographic. That's on women. Let me tie up my pants real quick. By pants, I mean pajamas. Because obviously, right, when it comes to YouTube, production value, class. No, I clicked on another Fuck! Go back. Oh, god damn it. Now I gotta scrub again.
They voted, then that means they have to be drafted too. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Refer to those guys who put you there so that you can regurgitate their values. Is that right, Massa? Is that right, Daddy? Am I correct, Dad?
Yeah, the reason, by the way, throughout the vast majority of human history, men didn't have the vote either. There was a small percentage of men who had power. The rest of the men were also oppressed alongside all of the women that were oppressed.
So you just agreed. Women were oppressed. You know, that question by itself, yes. Same along with men. But point is, they were both oppressed. So what does that say about all the crap you were saying before? It's hardworking men who oppressed others so that they can benefit themselves. No, honest, intelligent, Jesus.
It was like, you know, previously you had tyrants and kings and dictators.
All based on hierarchical status. Well, what was I saying?
Men couldn't vote. This is like voting came around in, like, broadly speaking, in the 1900s, late 1800s, 1900s, and now obviously, well.
I'm not. He's got a laptop, but he's not using it, and he's not pulling up sources. So just take what he says with a grain of salt.
In 1920 is when women got the right to vote. So this voting thing's very new. Democracy is very new. Most people never had the right to vote. The way men had the right to vote was because of warfare. Because men could be drafted and sent to fucking the Maginot Line in France and go in the trenches and get trench foot and get chemical gassed.
Yeah, without their consent, just because they're dudes. The same way women weren't allowed to vote and were void of that without their consent. Almost as if that's oppression. Whoa!
And to this day, women were able to secure the vote without the corresponding responsibility.
What are we arguing about now? Like, you're both technically right. You're both right. Men and women were oppressed, have been, and still are, and are probably going to continue to be, because that's just how this disgusting species works, right? So what's the disagreement? Are you just disagreeing to disagree? Are you just sharing information now? What the hell? These guys have lots of money.
Women have a right without a responsibility. Men have a right with a responsibility. That responsibility is you have to die for your country.
Dexter donated $50.
Thank you, man.
It's crazy.
I mean, get to another point of context. How about that point, right? You have to die for country. Screw that. If you're a dude and your stupid ass country sends you some letter, says, hey, go die because some rich people tell you to, so that they can continue running their country and synthesizing more slaves that they can throw into the meat grinder, burn up the goddamn notice slip and just flee. Like, screw you, honestly. The sheer entitlement of the place that creates you without your own choice and then telling you, hey, you have to die for whatever stupid bullshit that the people who are running this place at that time tell you to do. Like, just don't do anything. Don't join the military. Don't join the police. Don't, like, defend the stupid crap your dumbass country does, especially America. Just get away. Let them flail in their disgusting, viscous, like mucus, right? Like a disgusting parasite, right? Just let them flail and try not to let their flailing, get some of the mucus on you. Try to just keep your distance from the disgusting animal, little parasite, before it latches itself onto you, right? And then becomes part of your being, controls you and stuff. Come on, what a disgusting, entitled, monstrous thing. So because somebody else made a decision for you, therefore you're obligated to have to deal with the ramifications of other people's decisions? Is that just like, are we just gonna agree that that's just life, a never-ending merry-go-round of screwing each other over? I mean, if you agree to that, then maybe you should just don't share your stupid ass opinions on morals and ethics, because you don't know what you're talking about. You're too busy just believing stuff because it makes you feel a certain way.
Thank you, man.
It's crazy when we don't go in her direction, or we put forward an argument. She closes.
Not a debate. You're both kind of doing. Of course, it's biased against the point is to get these women on so that you can, argue and make fun of them for the shit that they do, because they do porn, right? That goes against your dumbass, archaic, inherited traditional values, right? Because somebody else told you that that's not okay. Oh, if you do this or that, it's not going to work because I believe this or that, implying that all the crap that I do works better than what you do. No, it's all per the individual basis. Okay, you as an individual, you're the one who needs to go about doing things in a right manner. It doesn't matter if you choose to go this path or that path. You just got to handle it. That's the thing. It's like, if you compare monogamous and polyamorous relationships, it's like people always want to act as if like the poly stuff is like mindless nonsense. It's like, yeah, that stuff goes wrong. Same thing for mono. I'd even argue that it's worse for monogamy. Because, you know, not only is that the status quo and everyone doing that, but they tell themselves they're monogamous, but they never act in accordance to that, right? Not only that, monogamy is more exclusive. So presumably that unfaithfulness will fucking hit harder because you care more about this person because you put them into an exclusive role in your life. If these people are arguing, which they've had plenty of arguments like that, oh, which mono, it's like, whichever way you're gonna go, you're gonna deal with bullshit. You're gonna suffer. It doesn't, and then people want to sit here and act as if this type of suffering is better than this type of. No, you're all gonna get it wrong. So quit acting as if it's like comparing religions. Oh, my stupid, mindless, nonsensical, archaic, inherited nonsense is more valid than your stupid, mindless, inherited, archaic nonsense. It's like you're all just a bunch of animals. That's it. It's hard to take anything seriously. You all just do the same thing. You're all just humans making up stuff and feeling things. We'll get to the end of this video.
Yo, Dexter, thank you for the $50 super chat. So just to wrap this whole thing up.
Yo, Dexter, thanks for giving me $50 for doing nothing. But speaking with yelling and arguing, but arguing with porn stars or OnlyFans models. Thanks, man. What a good use of your $50, you stupid dumbass.
Yeah, when it comes to voting, basically men to this day are subject to military conscription.
What makes the people who are donating and watching this podcast any different from the people who are donating and watching the OnlyFans models? What, like, you're still just giving money to people who don't really deserve it. But oh, this one's a little bit more legitimate. Because instead of the actual act of the porn, instead we're just going to involve the people who are involved with the porn and then just like make fun of them and have these dumbass arguments where everyone says wrong stuff. Like, what's different? You're still giving money to people who don't give a shit about you. Nor do they know who you are. Nor do they really ever care about knowing who you are. Yet you're still giving them... Is that sycophancy? Right? Being a sycophant? Which means, you know, you kind of hold people of a hierarchical stature to a higher degree. Like, I mean, that's probably just an ingrained aspect of most cultures, right? Because people you just give them your different ideas and then they believe in that crap because people don't know any better, right? People don't use their further degree of sentience, right? They sort of just become the ideas they're surrounded by and the things they go through. Why did I just forget what I was talking about? It's the drugs.
I have this here. You want to talk about systematic oppression. I don't know if you've heard of the selective service system. So I don't know if you can read this. Men 18 to 25 years old. Sorry, I need to eat. My hands are shaking. So this is a draft. Ignore the bright colors. If you open this up, here, take a look at that. Here, take it. Take it. This is a draft registration form. It says 18 to 25-year-old men. Only men are subject to military conscription. That's why men got the right to vote before women.
You were on it for a moment there in terms of ethics, but instead you use the mindless nonsense to reinforce your argument. Why not be like, hey, this is messed up. Look at this. Here's a direct example of my argument. Male oppression. Hey, go die for some stupid crap reason because of you have a penis. And then, of course, the girl's just like, nah, I'm not gonna confirmation bias. Let me just disregard that because I'm too emotionally inept to acknowledge reality, right? Instead of being like, hey, isn't this messed up? Can you acknowledge that? He's just like, yeah, this is how it is, you know? Like, men are oppressed, and it's different types of oppression. We all get oppressed, so why are you complaining? Why are you complaining? I'm not an ally to people. I'm just here to say things, to acknowledge how things are, and then to, like, reinforce that, right? Bet you this guy doesn't disagree with the draft. I live in this country at this time. I believe in this stuff. I gotta do what my country tells me to because I don't know any better. I'm not an individual. I'm simply a product of a machine, right? Because I have no individual autonomous thought. It's just at whatever. It's just at whatever. It's not at whoever, right? So.
I think
Okay.
still to this day, women don't want to be drafted,
Well, they do, and they can't.
and they can't.
They can't.
And so they're fine with that. No one, you don't see any women pushing back saying, I want to be drafted.
Exactly. Nobody wants to be drafted.
Yeah,
I don't
but
think
if
But
anybody
women
only
wants to
were
be
men.
drafted.
oppressed, they would be doing that.
Stop speaking for everyone as if like you're the spokesperson. Everyone's an individual. Like if you go and ask some people, they may say yes, it's unfair, and I would sign up for the draft if it meant egalitarianism. Others may be like, nah, my gender roles. Others may just not have an opinion on it. Others may, it's just random. But here you are, acting as if you understand, like you can just throw on a general blanket across the entire demographic and just be like, this is what they all feel. You have no idea what all these people are feeling.
No one, you don't see any women pushing back saying, I want to be drafted.
Exactly. Nobody wants to be drafted.
Yeah,
I don't
but
think
if
any-
Ding! Your stupid ass soundboard, you came in other. Yeah, nobody wants to be drafted. Unless, you've just inherited your cultural values and you don't know any better, sure. But let's see what you have to say in a counter.
If
But
women
only
were
men.
oppressed, they would be doing that.
If women were oppressed, they'd be pushing to be drafted? I mean, or we could just not invade random countries. I mean, let's take it tangibly. When was the last time America got attacked? 9/11? You mean the reverberations of America's colonialism? Of which that wasn't even really, it was just a few guys, few terrorists that killed a bunch of, thousands of people. Like, an invasion. Like, a reason to get drafted. Can you think of Vietnam? You mean when America invaded Vietnam because they wanted to stop the spread of communism because they were afraid of the values, so they just went in and started massacring a bunch of random people. It's like, in order for you to push for egalitarianism, you have to want to be part of the mindless war machine, right? It's funny, dude. You just tell people stuff and they believe it. Oh, the draft exists. We have the army or the military and people kill each other over mindless bullshit just because people are stupid animals. So let's just get off the draft argument because it's just mindless nonsense. It's not something that you could really take seriously. But of course, you guys want to act like it's serious because other people told you. Oh, go die for this stupid bullshit country's reasons just because. It's like, no. Especially a place like this. Absolutely not. I don't give a shit. Like, you guys kill each other. You guys, make up a bunch of mindless nonsense. It's like, I live my existence. You can live you can suffer as much as you want. Who cares? Like, not me. I'm gonna go and do stuff based on what I want and what I feel, which is exactly what you're doing, right? Only thing is someone else told you what to think and feel, so that's why you're suffering so much and you're going through all that stuff. Don't join the military.
No, because the
Equality,
reason
right?
why women aren't drafted or put on the front line is because women aren't seen as intimidating to the enemy, like they're putting men because men are
What the argument is, women aren't seen as nearly as physically capable, right? Which, yes, that does come from prejudice, and that is a good counter-argument, right? Like, what about the women who do want to be drafted? I mean, granted, the draft is a very specific scenario. But let's just take joining the military, which all sorts of women already do that, right? You ever seen piece of shit Captain Marvel, right? That entire movie was just an ad to get women to join the army. It's propaganda, just how this place works. But yeah, what about that? Like, even the preventing of that entire demographic of people from entering, getting drafted, that's just entirely motivated by just people's ideas towards gender roles and such. Why? Just because women are weaker doesn't mean it means that they can't, that means they'd be useless in combat? Like, that's the thing I don't understand. It's like that you can't defend yourself physically against a woman who's attacking you. It's like, just because they're weaker, you think that, they just can't, they're not capable of harming someone else? Is that it? So therefore you have to be a goddamn karate master and have ultimate discipline while you're getting, attacked. Everyone's capable of violence. It's the individual. It really depends on how you use your body. A 5'4" trained MMA guy could submit some 6'4" bodybuilder, and this is very powerful. but you guys don't care about this or this. You care about this. That's just how humans work. That's a good counter argument. It's like, even if they wanted to, they wouldn't, because, hey, gender roles, you're oppressed. Same way the men are oppressed, as in go and die for our stupid crap reasons, because we tell you to. And you have to, because you have a schlong. But not her, she has a clam. She's got to stay home and cook the dishes. You got to go out and reload that gun and get killed. And step into some, like, Viet Cong trap, right? You know, pull the pin and then explode and your friends, oh, God, Tommy, I got to know him. I got to know him for these past 7 weeks. Oh, it's sad. It's just suffering. Why not? Why might as well make fun of it, right? None of it matters, right? Like, the reason why it happened is, like, that doesn't matter. People were sent over just to kill randos just because they were told to.
Stronger, biologically stronger, biologically, like, they don't want women there for a reason.
Sure. Well, you're not totally wrong. Yes, men, generally speaking, are more suited for warfare.
I like that. He can acknowledge it, but he's not going to let it, like, he's not going to see how it reflects anything on his argument, right? She's saying that they are perceived that way, therefore that's the way that they're treated, all of them. And he's just like, yeah, that makes sense. Women are weaker. It's like, no, do you not see the point? Because of that. That is what determines their role. Oppression. That's a... Like, these people don't know what they're doing. They have a platform, and there's people who want to listen, and you know, they just make their money, you know?
Yeah.
Men are, it's a biological reality. Men are physically stronger than women.
Therefore, all women are worthless and incapable in a combat scenario because men are stronger. So therefore, only these guys and not those guys. That's your argument. Unless you're willing to say otherwise. Like... You ever hear of training? Yeah. It's a crazy, crazy concept, I know. Being able to improve yourself and be, like, useful and capable, despite whatever crazy concept, I know.
Now, I mean, in today's modern warfare, physical strength is still a factor, but, you know, I mean, the way we conduct warfare now is very different. So women can participate much more to some degree. In combat roles, it's still, I mean... In any case, we don't need to get into the whole military thing, but
the Viet Cong actually never really had a gender, because they knew what they, you know, you're getting invaded. They knew what they were just like, shit, I guess we got to take everything everywhere. There's not really much we can do. Goddamn. And they murked the Americans, and explain that. Oh, you can't through your traditionalist backwards value. I forgot. Right.
I would say
the difference is, if we're talking about equality, though, disregard. Well, maybe men make better soldiers. Let's say an 18-year-old man who doesn't want to go to war, doesn't want to go get sent, take Ukraine, for example. All the women could leave the country. All the men had to stay. You could not leave the country. You cannot leave Ukraine if you were a man between the ages of 18 and like 60 or 65.
Yeah. Oppression. Dude, you're right. You're both right. So what are you disagreeing here on? Who's more oppressed? Screw all of you. Screw all of you. You don't care about progress. You care about reinforcing your feelings. All of you. Jesus Christ, people. Honestly. My God. Everyone gets screwed. Everyone. And you get screwed in specific ways based on arbitrary factors. Like, yet we want to argue who, you know, whoever those arbitrary factors apply to is worse based on random just, oh, this demographic, oh, this guy's, oh, this... It's just ways that we treat each other. That on top of all the heinous crap that we make each other do and do to each other. It's like, god damn, what a disgusting species, man. Grotesque. Evil.
While all the women in Ukraine, actually I matched with some girls on Tinder, like when the shit was heavy as in Ukraine, when Kiev was getting scorched up.
Dude, when fucking shit was fucking and shitting and shitting and fucking and just fucking, dude, this bitch on Tinder, just shitting and fucking, just shitting everywhere.